I've done a little more screwing around with this thing since I made the last video. Finally picked up some paint so that I can get all of the body parts a little cleaned up before I put them back on. And it started and ran and drove just fine the first time, and then the second time it developed kind of a surging. Okay, so I'm going to see if bubbles come up through that. Because they should, is what it was doing before. Should have bubbles for days. There we go. That's what she was doing before. Okay, I'm doing a little more testing here. The coolant level just fell quite a bit. I've pulled the #1 spark plug off, and I'm just going to crank it here. I notice it's not hitting at all on #2. So if I put 1 back on, #2 off, okay, so it's running on #1, it's not running on #2. And #2 is the one that shot all kinds of brown, nasty gunk out before. So, I'm going to go out on a limb here, say that cylinder 2 might have something slightly the matter with it. Okay, so at this point, cylinder #2 has no spark and no compression because I've taken the spark plug out of cylinder 2. Let's see if I start it on cylinder 1, if it's still pushing stuff out, because if it's not pushing stuff out, that means for sure the problem's on cylinder 2. If I remember right, from what I've read about this motor, the 2 pistons come up at the same time, so if there's a breach in between them and one spark plug is out, you wouldn't have any compression on either side. So, yeah, it's looking pretty bad for the head gasket. I could keep theorizing and screwing around with it, but let's be honest here, it's probably the head gasket, and I might as well just get after it. So one thing I didn't realize about this motor, and the piece I just took off, is also the bearing support for the camshaft. So, that's nice. This is what the cylinder is supposed to look like. This is why we're going to be putting some Gorilla Snot in the crankcase. I think you can see the problem here with the head gasket. Yeah. Well, sandpaper and a piece of wood is probably not the right way to clean this, but I think I got it pretty good. Did a little cleaning on the head too. Haven't found any cracks or any obvious warpage. Got a new thermostat, new gasket for that, new gasket for the thing I took off I didn't need to. Yeah, there's that. And a new head gasket here. And for some reason, they sent me a voucher for $100 worth of wine. This is puzzling. I can only figure they assume I'll need to drown my sorrows after working on this damn thing. Or I'll need to drown my sorrows after dropping $35 for a tiny thermostat. So here's the gasket sitting on the block. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why it doesn't fit better than that. The original one didn't fit quite right either. Weird. I considered doing some kind of copper coat spray stuff on it, but I decided it's got this rubber part here for what I'm assuming is the oil return. And yeah, I don't want to mess with that. So hopefully it's good enough dry. Got the thermostat housing back on. Nice new green gaskets. Yeah, the one good thing about cylinder 2, there's no vertical scratching, so I don't think it's got a broken ring or something. It's just got knackered cylinder wall. Stay. At least they've got the pins set so that you can't put the gasket in upside down or backwards. Of course, the pins don't hold the gasket at all. There we go. Persuader. Okay. Head is on. And now the camshaft sprocket's on too. That was a pain in the ass. It's got a little keyway that's got it made up with a little key, because of course it does. But the little key is one of those half-moon bastards, where as soon as you get this thing anywhere near it, it slips out of its groove and then you can't get it on all the way. Making things even worse, the back of this sprocket has sort of a bevel cut on it. So, yeah, if you miss the slot, it catches that little half-moon key and just twists it right out on you. What I ended up doing that helped me get the damn thing in. I cleaned everything, first off, because it had old, I don't know if it was corrosion or anti-seize or whatever. I took a pair of needle nose vice grips, grabbed onto the camshaft, and that allowed me to turn it back and forth just a little bit. I could see past the back here, I could see the key, I could see this, where'd it go? Yeah, there it is. I could see the notch on that. I ended up marking the back of it as well, so I could just line them up, and then it slid right on. That took several tries, of course, but yeah, it's on now. Just gotta figure out where the fastener for it is, and then I can slam this back together. Is it a gasket? Is it a heat shield? The answer, apparently, is yes. I've got it together enough that it ought to start. Got a battery on it, or next to it at least. Okay, here goes everything. Runs all the way down to her slowest speed. That was a way to shut it off before. So, hey, might even be kicking on both cylinders. And now, just because I'm curious, I'm going to take the number one plug wire off. I'm sure number one's getting a spark. I just want to see if it'll start and run on number two, because remember before, number two was kind of not doing anything. Runs on number two. Sweet.
You're spinning. Hang on, I'll give you a push. Backfire?
Yeah.
Jeez, wish the muffler wasn't pointed straight at me when that happened. We'll just say, you know, the snow's powdery enough. We'll say that's the smoke from your burnout.
Yeah. Well, here's the next portion of the lawnmower project. This is a Craftsman power propelled. Seen better days. Got a wild guess that third gear might not work. It's also missing a wheel. And yeah, but the front of it ought to still work, right?
Picked a fine time to leave me, loose wheel.
Yes. Hey, you know, for what we paid for it, I think this ought to do.
Hey, look at the name. It's the Eager One. The winterized Eager One. How can you turn down something that cute?
Okay, so I'm laughing like a maniac. So yeah, this pulley right here, you can see how good a condition the belt's in. This is the transmission. There's just a wheel, and then another wheel with a little rubber tire on it that presses up against it, and by moving that wheel back and forth, you change the gear ratio. And then there's just a chain.
So yeah, that's what this is. This just goes up to the lever that the golf ball actuated.
Yeah. Well, I got a nice whack of sprocket and chain out of it. The funny thing is, it seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it's got some rough spots, but that's probably because, you know, half the belts are still frozen into place.
Okay, well, we've got the head separated from the rest of it. Went ahead and replaced the drive chain for this top flaily mafuxit with a piece of the chain from the transaxle, or whatever the hell you'd call that thing. And yeah, it's all hooked up. Well, no, it's not all hooked up. The chain is all hooked up. Get a little ahead of myself here. So yeah, I've got the thrower ready to go. Just got to mount her up and figure out some kind of jack shaft arrangement to hook that to the PTO clutch. And then maybe some better shoes for this, for skidding along the ground. Maybe a lifty mafuxit. And yeah.
Yeah?
Good as new.
Yeah?
So Zach, any luck getting that engine to turn over?
Well, you know, I've been pulling and pulling on this handle, but I just can't quite get it to go. But we've had lots of water coming out of the
everything.
The oil filler here. And I think the level might be a little high, also a little solid if you get down far enough into there, so...
Wow.
I don't know, this...
I'll have to let her thaw out and then pull the oil plug out and see how much water drains out.
Yeah.
Well, motor's a bust, but that's okay. We didn't buy it for the motor. And by buy it, I mean pick it up.
For free.
Yeah. Free mower, free blower. What could go wrong?
Free hairdo.
Hey! We've come up with an innovative way to stop the engine from overheating.
And to stop you from overheating.
Yeah! Nothing like a face full of snow in the morning.
And then if you feel like it's been too easy, you can just turn it back around and do it again.
The endless recycling snow machine.
Yeah. See? Endless snow.
Yeah. Perfect for the skier in your life.
Yeah. And if he doesn't appreciate it on your yard, you can blow it straight at him.